It is just huge honor that on a Friday night, what do I get to do? I get to bring back Erin Elliott, who was episode 102. I can't believe that was 900 episodes again. Thank you so much for coming by the house. And before we start, I want you to, I'm going to introduce this video. Well, tell them it's a, she made this rap video, Queen of Good Air. Take a peek.
Now this is a story all about how I can help you sleep without a sound. I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there. I'll tell you about how I became the queen of good air. In sunny California, born and raised, Post Falls is where I now spend my days. Chilling out, drilling, relaxing, all cool. Using Mr. Thirsty to suck up the drool. When a couple of snorers, they were up to no good, started making noise in my neighborhood. I said, let's fix that snore, but my team got scared. But to help sleep apnea, we have to get prepared. We scanned lots of teeth day after day and knew we were finally on our way. If you're having trouble sleeping at night, waking up groggy in the morning light, causing your partner to complain about the noise, we can help your problems, have no fear. A simple appliance will make things clear. I looked at my practice, I was finally there to sit on my throne as the queen of good air.
You are so classy, fun, cool. I just love everything about you. So let's start with, why are you in Phoenix?
Well, I have been, sleep apnea has been a huge focus of my practice for a long time, but I'm a general dentist. And as I'm going through my career and journey, I realized that I'm really missing out with implants. My partner's been placing them for years, so I've gotten used to keeping it within my four walls. However, I like surgery and I like doing these things, and my kids are older, so I can pursue some more travel. 13 and 12. Two boys.
Two boys?
Jameson and Jensen.
Come on, keep up the friends. We have 4 boys. You quit halfway through.
We're good.
Because I could give you Ryan and Zach. They're both here.
You know, Ryan's wonderful.
Yeah.
You did good.
You want to move to Idaho?
You know what?
You can't move to Idaho. There's no women in Idaho. No, did you realize that? Because none of them want to say Idaho. And but anyway,
I guess I don't mind.
You don't mind? You don't mind?
No. So, anyways, it was a good time for me to get into implants. I like doing extractions and surgeries and such. And of course, Justin Moody's a good friend of mine. And so I started with the implant pathway, and it's the first.
Can you send me a link to implant pathway?
Yep. The first session is online, so that you can do the first 20 hours and all the sciencey stuff at home. The second and third session is in various cities around the country. It's lecture-based and some hands-on.
Second and third? Mm-hmm. Second and third. And what cities are those? It's Tempe?
He's doing it at T-Bone's place out in Raleigh. He's doing it in Chicago. I did mine in Seattle.
Whose place in Seattle?
Just a hotel. But we had pig jaws, and we were doing a lot of hands-on stuff. And I actually went back to my practice and did a couple implants on my own. But this is kind of the accumulation of the implant pathway. This is the fourth one. And
now, is the fourth one only done in Tempe?
Yes, because it's hands-on. And Arizona has a wonderful situation in which I can get a temporary license if I'm doing free dentistry.
And who set that up?
Justin.
No, he didn't pioneer that.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, it wasn't his idea. It was Chris Volchek had he ran a homeless shelter.
Oh, is that the Brighter?
Brighter
Way, yes.
Yeah,
so Justin was partnered with him, but just opened his own clinic today. Like yesterday was.
But is his own clinic still partner with Chris Volchek?
No,
But Chris Volchek's a huge leader in this town. He was born in Globe, Arizona, and he's the one. I mean, all he's got to do is call the founder of GoDaddy, and he can get another gazillion dollars because everybody really likes what he does.
Yeah.
And he's the one who went to the Arizona State Board and said, "Come on, man, they're homeless, they're vets. Can you give them a temporary license?" Well, how do you say no? I'm not going to give an American dentist who's licensed in the other 49 states permission to fly down here and do free dentistry on vets. So that's what they got, and that is priceless.
It's awesome.
And I encourage other states to go do that because, it's one thing, I don't hear any boys tell me they're scared to go to like Arun Gargs in Dominican Republic, and there's one in Mexico just south of Yuma. There's another one south of San Diego. But a lot of the girls like, I don't want to go to Mexico. I mean, 10,000 people a year get killed in Mexico.
Well,
I mean, seriously. Some
the
people
other part of it, though, is that you get to do the restorative part. You're not just dropping a whole bunch of screws and letting people go. Like they will be followed up with and restored, and that's a huge benefit for those patients.
Yeah, nice.
I even recruited my taxi driver.
Did you?
He didn't show up today, but
was he taxi or Uber?
I did a taxi because I wanted to stop at In-N-Out.
The Uber guy wouldn't?
Well, they don't like going off their course.
What is that other delivery thing? I was at a restaurant the other day and they had all these packages and I said, are those all Uber deliveries? They go, well, Uber Eats is a little bit. The other one was, what was it called?
Grubhub. I don't know.
No, not Grubhub. It was another one.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Play on words for Lyft. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not Lyft, but it was another one. And that's the third restaurant I went to. You told me that other one. It was like 80% of their food deliveries. But anyway, so you did the 1, 2, 3, and 4. So after today, you're done?
No, so we just did day 1 today. I was partnered up with another dentist, and I brought my assistant. And all of the supplies were donated from BioHorizons and Henry Schein. And so I did 2 implants. My partner did another 2. And then I just did 6 implants on a lower edentulous arch. And I ditched my partner to come here. She's doing the 6 on the upper. And you know what? I think the 3D was donated by someone too. So.
And it's all, is it homeless people or
no?
Or
as long as we're working on doing it for free. So
it could be anything.
People were from all over. Some people even traveled here to
It's so sad you go to Brighter Way because the line outside the door is the length of a football field, and one of them's just vets.
Wow.
And they're all vets. And when they came back, our best idea from the government was they can go to the VA for anything, but you know what they don't cover? Mental health and teeth. Like really, mental health and the teeth thing. A lot of them. Chris Volchak, we were talking to several of them. I said, "Well, how did you lose your teeth?" And it's like shrapnel. It's like, I mean, you lost all those teeth from shrapnel, and that's not covered.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, but
Yeah, so commend Dr. Volchak quite a bit because it's an awesome opportunity.
And other people should do that because, man, what a win-win situation. You shouldn't have to leave the country to find poor people in America. I mean, America is 1/3 of a billion people. We got enough poor people. But yeah, and then you don't have to leave, and then you can do the follow-up if you go to a foreign country.
And now I'm going to go home and totally comfortable placing implants on my own patients that are going to pay me money to do so.
So this is Friday. You got class tomorrow.
Tomorrow as well. Mm-hmm.
And then you're done Saturday night.
I am. Yeah, I'm flying out tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night, and to where, Boise?
No, I'm about 8 hours north of there in a place called Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
Oh, Coeur d'Alene, where they have the Ironman.
Yeah, like what they say is I'm from Idaho, but just the tip.
So, Coeur d'Alene, have you ever seen the Ironman race down there?
Of course.
Oh, my God. Lewis Core, a bunch of my friends.
Do you know how you can tell someone's an Ironman?
How?
They tell you.
They tell you. So, what did this whole course cost you? What was the tuition for the online CE?
I broke it up into so you can take just the didactic part, and then the hands-on is extra.
So you can take just one.
He flew in mentors. No, you would take 1, 2, and 3 together.
Okay.
And then the 4th is an additional cost. And then there's discounts for new dentists and that sort of thing. So I think there's a range of cost.
Yeah. Well, good job, Justin.
Maybe he can come up with a Dentaltown code.
Absolutely.
Promo code for
and the implant system they went with was BioHorizons, which is good.
They have been an awesome support. Like, and my rep now comes and visits all the time. And
have you been to their headquarters in Alabama?
No.
It's where they make the solid rocket fuel boosters. I mean, it's really.
I've been to Birmingham. I got to.
It's like a miniature Silicon Valley there. It's very high tech. But BioHorizons, I mean, you just got to get a great company that I recommend that you just know is going to be there in 5-10 years. I mean, there's
and all the research and development that they're kind of paying the money for other people to just copy once the patent runs out. But
yeah, and that is fine until your case goes south and you're in front of a jury and you use a mail order implant with no research. And so you just need a big name brand.
To be honest, reps are still really important to me, those relationships. Even with the Pattersons and Henry Shines and Burkharts, all that, the rep really is important. Like, we haven't gone to Amazon or anything like that yet, and I don't know what the future is, but...
Well, that's a very interesting...
I'm willing to spend the money because of the relationship.
Well, you know, you just start recognizing patterns. And if you ever meet someone, I think the critical mass on anything in dentistry is once a week. I don't really see anybody who does an Invisalign case, you know, every other month, do it fast enough, easy enough, high enough quality, and low enough cost to make profit. I think the critical mass in anything is once a week. It's why really smart dentists hate dentures, because they do fillings and crowns every day, and they do a denture every 4 or 5 months. But you go find any other dentist, and he works at Denture World, and makes 5 a day, he's the best in the world. So there is a critical mass. And if you had to have an operation, I couldn't imagine going to a doctor who did it every other month.
Yeah.
You'd want to go to some guy who does it, you know, a lot. So the critical mass once a week. Well, anybody I know and have ever met or podcasted that places 1 implant a week totally is involved with a rep.
That would be... So my partner had been placing about 50 a year, which is good, I hear, for a general dentist.
That's 1 a week?
Yeah. Well, if he worked that much.
Well, did you give him 2 weeks vacation?
He works a lot less. So that my goal would be to be about that as well. And we have so much potential. You know, I feel like most people with full dentures don't go to the dentist very often. And we have denturists in my state, so I don't really see full denture patients until I started doing sleep apnea. And I would get people referred to me to make an appliance on full dentures. And so that's where I started talking to them about implant retained dentures. And so the opportunities in my area are huge, and I haven't even tapped the surface yet. So I'm looking forward to going back.
Nice.
Getting started.
And the other thing is, the people, you know, it's a greater skill to remove a molar than it is to replace it with an implant. And that's another thing. Everybody who loves extractions, you just got to go into implants. It's less skill to put a...
I was just saying to my partner today, the lady I was paired up with, I said, it was almost more stressful to reflect the tissue and then do the plasty and then suture it than actually place the implants.
Yeah.
Because I don't do full arch sutures all the time, but it was just amazing, and Justin was a great mentor through it. So just very happy. I'm excited.
Was he drinking Fireball while he was doing the implant?
No.
That's what I want to know.
No, but we disinfect the implants in that first.
The man loves his Fireball, doesn't he? That's the cinnamon one.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I think he plays it up a little bit.
Oh yeah. But so yeah. So if when they're coming out of school, most of these dental schools are $70,000 to $100,000 a year, and just 10 years ago, 70 was the high. But all these dental schools have figured out that every time they raise their tuition $10,000 a year, it has it's inelastic effect on demand.
I was going to say, if people are still applying, why wouldn't they?
They still get the same number of qualified applicants every time they're... So now, just 5 years ago, we were always saying, these guys are coming out of school, $300, $350 in debt. Now it's $400 to $500, because it's $400,000 tuition for 4 years at $100, and then you got undergraduate debt, you had cars.
Well, and Creighton is building, or I think it's opening now, the new dental school.
Oh,
I can't imagine, because that's where I went, and I came out with $150,000. I'm still paying on it. I extended it to 25 years, but my interest rate is 2.8.
Yeah.
So I would rather put more in retirement at an early age than...
And what's bonds at? 2%?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I pay $900 a month or something like that.
So basically, these kids come out of school. Who's making all the money? Oral surgeons. They're doing $411,000 on average. I know oral surgeons that double that at $800,000. What are they doing? They're pulling teeth and they're putting them back in with implants. Number 2 is endo. And endos, they're like $375, And then next on down is ortho because of Invisalign. So when you come out of school and you say, well, I don't like extractions and implants and molar endo. I don't give a shit. You already made the decision to borrow $500,000 of other people's money. I mean, you might have to just eat a lot of shit sandwiches for 10, 20 years. And another reason people don't like something is because you don't like anything that beats the hell out of you. Yeah. But if if molar endo beats the hell out of you, well, read all the books, take all the courses to where you can kill the molar endo.
When I was about to graduate, I had this professor come up to me. He's like, Elliott, I didn't know you were smart. Because I was at the top of my class, and he's like, why aren't you specializing? And honestly, there was nothing that I felt passionate enough about to do every day of my life. In general dentistry, I can do whatever I want. And that's what I've done. I've tailored my practice to what I like to do. And now I'm even only working 3 days a week in doing what I love. In implants, it's not just because the production's better.
If you're already 3 E's, Erin, Elizabeth, Elliott, you should have been an endodontist. Erin, Elizabeth, and then your practice could have been called 4E.
Do you know how many root canals I've done?
How many?
0 in the last 10 years.
So
I did 2 open and broaches the other day.
You just don't like them? Or
I just don't like them. I let my partner do them. I just...
Yeah.
I feel like that's like the last stop before you lose a tooth, and I don't want to be responsible for it.
So
I'm pretty cavalier in most things, but for some reason I just don't like them.
Now you go to Indy's implant training course, the fastest growing segment is endodontist.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really good thing because I've these endodontists have always played this silly, like, well, I did the best I could. You send a failed root canal to them. So they charge Grandpa $1,500 for a retreat, and 6 months later it's in the trash can, and they're not ready to refund.
The only time I really recommend the retreat is if it's an abutment on a bridge, and then I like to go to great lengths to save it. However, by the time you dump the money into the retreat and then it ends up in the garbage, it's like we could have placed an implant a long time ago.
Well, all I'm talking about is, so the average American will own 12 new cars in their lifetime. Because they buy a new car, they finance for 5 years, and when it's all paid off.
I'm only on my second.
Well, that's because you're frugal. That's because you're smart and frugal.
Yeah.
That's why Vegas doesn't like dental seminars. We had the county meeting for 15 years in Las Vegas, and we were always treated like second-class citizens, and they were very upfront. They had a list of all the occupations, and the more years of college you have, like dentists, lawyers, physicians, engineers, you're too smart to go lose your whole paycheck on the blackjack table. That's why they have rodeos. And look at the concerts they have in Vegas.
That's funny.
Look at the concerts. Yeah. The concerts, they're looking for concerts that attract the NASCAR fans, the country music, the hillbillies.
The ones that aren't spending their money on teeth.
Yeah, and they'll dump all their money. So we're too smart for that, so you're frugal. But the point being, the average American buys 13 cars, and the reason they'll buy that new car, and the average car price of a new car is $33,500 in America, is because they get financing 5 years, and the banks will finance it because they know the car will work 5 years. The consumer will do it because it works 5 years. Then you go to dentistry, same thing. You got to warranty your stuff 5 years. And the internet's like, well, I did the best I could. No, dude, you just wanted $1,500. I want the endodontist who says, here's my refund policy. If I take $1,500 for a retreat and it's in the trash year, you get this much money back, or we credit it towards extraction in the implant. Because if your only tool is a hammer and the only way you can feed your family is to do these retreats, I think they get really aggressive.
My local endodontist does do implants, but they don't advertise it because they don't want to step on anyone's toes. However,
channel conflict.
It makes sense for them to do it. The patient's there, they're numb, the tooth's fractured. Why not extract it and graft it? That just makes sense to me. But then again,
channel conflict.
Yeah.
So the prosthodontist.
What's best for the patient?
Well, that's only patient-centered. That's a fantasy. It's doctor-centered. I mean, look at the hours.
Yeah.
I mean, in Phoenix, if you broke your leg on a Sunday, the ambulance would show up, take you to the hospital. They're fully staffed. Christmas, Easter, Thanksgiving, Hanukkah. You could find the tooth fairy twice on Sunday.
Yeah.
Before you found a dentist open. I mean, they've never been very patient-centered. But in your office, if you did a crown on me and it fell off in a year, how long would you stand behind it?
We do have a 5-year warranty on our crowns. However, if it's decayed, I'm not going to take responsibility for that. Yeah. And we have that written down. Yeah. I'm fair. I'm pretty fair.
Yeah, it's good business.
It's a good investment. It's a big investment for some people, and I'll stand behind it.
And it's why I also never take anybody to small claims. Because they all live in Altoona.
I had to go to small claims.
Well, how big's your town?
Well, Post Falls is 30,000. Our county's about 100,000.
And what town are you in?
Post Falls, it's right near Coeur d'Alene.
Post Falls.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I do is, you take them to small claims. They live 6 blocks from your office, so for the next 30 years, they're staring at you at Safeway.
Oh yeah, I ran into her all the time. She took me to small claims. I told this story on Justin's podcast, but it was a tooth I never even worked on. She's a little crazy, but she took it to that extreme. I won. She didn't, but it was still like why take it to that extreme? And now I see her all the time. Yeah,
I had to go to the board because I was trying to sell her periodontal therapy. And she just wanted regular cleaning. She didn't have gum disease. She went to 6 other dentists who said her gums were perfect. But once you file a claim to the board, they have to go through the whole thing. And I'm like, why have to go down there? I mean, did
she have periodontal disease?
Oh my God! I mean, of course. Yeah. And hers wasn't even a mild case.
Why are we moderate. So litigious? It's silly.
But yeah, what I do is on Christmas, this country gets pretty crazy at Christmas time. I mean, really everything just shuts down. Dentists, even traffic on Dental Town between Christmas and New Year's, I mean, it's cut in half. There's no dental seminars. So what I do is I just balance out, instead of turning them over to collections and all that stuff, I just zero out all the deals, get out the Christmas cards. Hey, Erin, we had a great year. Obviously, you didn't because you voted us $300 and hadn't made a payment all year. And with the spirit of Christmas around the corner, I zeroed off your account, and all I ask is that you refer a friend or loved one to our office. And oh my God, they come in, they're crying. They make pumpkin pies. They make all this, and they just become your biggest fans because usually you can't suck blood out of a turnip. Yeah. So if she can't pay her $300 and you've asked her 4 times, there's something going on. Yeah. So you show a little sympathy around Christmas, and then they're your blood brother for the next 30 years. And
do they send good patients?
Well, I mean, birds of a feather flock together, but but you can make money on all those people. I mean, 25% of my toothaches are extractions. I'm fine with that. Yeah. 3/4 are root canals and crowns. Those are obviously financially better, but it's always fun to remove a tooth. So when when the sleep apnea, that was a very interesting journey. So it's pretty hard to treat sleep apnea with a retainer or a CPAP when you got a full denture. Talk about that.
Well, with a sleep appliance, we're posturing the jaw forward, so you kind of need a lower jaw to attach to. However, it's pretty crazy. I have made Herbst appliances to dentures, and it works sometimes. Like, if someone's been wearing a denture for 30 years, they've kind of trained their tongue to retain it. So but if I could get implants on there, which I've converted a few of those, it works beautifully with dentures.
And what were you doing the implants? Were you just doing locators? Or?
Yeah, just implant retained dentures.
Yeah, not with
nothing fancy. No.
And what my perception of our 30 years is it's kind of like a foreign language. If you drop if a kid from Tehran moves to Ahwatukee and he's 2, he'll pick up English on the playground. Yeah. But his mother and dad have been here 15 years and they know English, but you don't understand what they're saying. Right. So what I've noticed also is, if they got their denture at 18, 19, 20, they got their dentures when they were young, they eat corn on the cob with them. Yeah, it's no problem.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah, but if you, oh my God, you take some 60-year-old grandpa and then he loses teeth and you give him a mouthful of acrylic, that is one unhappy boy. But I like to take him down first. So I would rather take out their teeth, put in a denture, and it's kind of like you got your leg amputated and you got a wooden leg. Yeah. So you're all the way down here. Because then, I'm going to take you back up here, but you pull natural teeth, and then you do implant fix or implant...
Have you ever noticed how no matter how many times you tell them, this is not like your old teeth. This is not like natural teeth. You're going to have to learn how to chew. You're going to have to learn how to talk. No matter how many times I tell them, they still come back and say, I can't bite into an apple. I told you that. But anyways, that's patient.
Yeah, and with wooden legs, it's hard to run up and down the stairway. But yeah, I like to take them from their periodontal deal and put them in a denture and try to let that heal and all, so they go down. And then when you put a couple locators in, they're coming back up.
Then you look like a hero.
Yeah. And I know, what's that, a girl on Shark Tank? I know a hero or a zero the minute I hear it.
Oh.
Yeah. What's her name, the blonde?
Yes, Laura. She says,
Laura.
I know a hero.
From a zero.
From a zero, as soon as I see it, yeah.
Yeah. So are you doing, you're still going to be, do you do a sleep apnea case every week? I mean, are you critical mass with that?
Yeah. It's probably, I do essentially 2 columns of general dentistry. I'm trying to shift my fillings more towards my associate that we just hired so that I can do the stuff that I want to do. I feel like I've been in practice long enough and I've earned it. So I want to do the dentistry I want to do.
Do you do cleanings?
No.
Or do you have a hygienist?
We have 5 hygienists.
Exactly. I still don't understand why everybody's freaked out about dental therapists, because I know Pew Research thinks that, that if they have these mid-level providers, they're going to graduate and cut down a tree and carve out a canoe and go up the river to where these people are living with no electricity.
Yeah, they're not going to.
Yeah, they're not. They're going to find the highest paying job in the downtown city.
Yep.
But when I go to those places that have dental therapists, the dentists love it because they hire 1 or 2 dental therapists. I know one guy, but anyway, long story short, dental therapists, they're going into dental offices and these dentists saying, I haven't done a filling since I had my dental therapist. And
then there's these FDAs too. I was like, wow, they can do all of that? That's crazy.
Well, an FDA can't numb and drill.
Right.
You could, so like when I go to Kansas, when they got EFDAs, expanded function duty assistants, it's tough. We got an international crowd. Yeah, it's really weird for an international crowd because they think America is this country and they don't realize the laws are 50 different states.
Yeah.
So the laws just from Arizona to California are A to Z.
To Idaho. Mm-hmm.
To taxes, to regulations. So it's very confusing. The United States is more like Europe. Nobody in Europe compares Germany to Greece. No one compares Portugal to Sweden. Europe is like the United States of Europe. And the United States, you can't compare Alaska to San Fran or Miami to Kansas City. But anyway, I forgot where I was going with that. But at NAFTA, expanded function duty assistants, I got friends in Kansas that when they're doing restorative, they have 4 FTAs. So they numb, go back, drill, and then go surf Dental Town for half an hour while they put on and they do better dentistry. That's what dentists don't understand. When you tell a dentist, they're going to go in there and try to do as fast as they can. But if you're my EFTA and I just have you 1 filling in this chair for an hour, you slow down, you take it. Those are some of the most beautiful restorations, the best anatomy, because when you're doing hygiene checks and you got this going and that going, and you're trying to do a quadrant at 4 MOD composites, you're trying to just grease lightning. You're not trying to play Picasso.
We have a pretty busy practice. I mean, my record, I did filling on a 2-year-old, and I just did 4-year-olds the other day, and so I see the spectrum, but I want to start, and I love taking care of those kids because they're friends' kids and stuff, but I want to start tailoring to more like T-Bone says, the emotional dentistry, the things that I love. And sleep apnea is one of those things that in 2008, when I started my journey, it was an uphill battle because...
Started your journey in sleep apnea, or 2008 is when you started your dental office?
No, I started as an associate in 2003.
Okay.
But I discovered sleep apnea in 2008, and totally, it's my passion and love, obviously. But it was a little bit of an uphill climb for a while until Medicare decided to cover appliances. Is when all the other private insurances did, and it's still kind of the Wild West in figuring out things along the way, but. That's why I love teaching so much too, is because I get to fast forward about 4 years of the mistakes that I made to make it successful in my practice. And so I essentially have 2 columns of general dentistry and 1 column of sleep apnea that every day that I'm there. And sometimes my assistant is seeing patients when I'm gone, when I'm traveling, and just follow-ups and that sort of thing. But it's a big portion, and I still am totally fanatical about it and just see lives changed every day, and that's why it's easy to continue to pursue.
But you call these people a friend who sends their children to you? I think
true.
That would be the deal breaker. When your friend sends a 2-year-old to you, they're no longer a friend.
I liked the challenge.
You think it's a passive aggressive way of saying I hate you?
Yeah, right.
So podcasters are young, old dogs like me. when I get on the airplane, I'm like the only guy with a book. And if I see a guy sit next to me reading a book, I don't have to ask him if he's got grandchildren. He just, it's a given. You know what I mean? And, so podcasters, so you're talking to 25% are still in dental school.
Mm-hmm.
The rest are all under 30. Shoot me an email, howard@dentaltown.com. Tell me how old you are. And if you're a guy, you don't want to be listening to this on iTunes. You want to tune into YouTube because you got to see your video. Yeah, so if you're on iTunes, you got to. So go to Dentistry Uncensored on YouTube and subscribe. And so they're going to come out of school. They're not going to have any training in sleep apnea. What would you recommend their journey?
Some schools are starting to incorporate it more, at least an hour or two here and there. But, you know, it's such an important... We as dentists are on the front lines. We are staring at airways each and every day. And even if you get an hour in dental school, that's sometimes more than physicians are getting. Obviously not sleep physicians, but... I feel like, and the ADA even came out with this in their guidelines, that we should be screening. We should at least be starting a conversation with our patients. I'm not saying we have to go full bore. But my other soapbox is we should not absolutely make an appliance for someone without getting them tested first.
Do you ever listen to Joe Rogan's podcast?
I don't.
He did forward her Joe Rogan's podcast on sleep, the epidemic of sleep apnea or sleep.
Someone
epidemic.
posted that on my forum or somewhere though.
Yeah. So they're kids. How do they get more training?
Well,
what would you recommend? How they get?
Well, of course, I'm biased because I do teach, but
they teach in your office or is it online?
No, I teach with T-Bone out in Raleigh.
Okay.
I teach. Yeah, so there's a Sleep 101 course.
So is that the only place you teach it?
No, we're headed to Redding at the end of September. Redding, California. There's a Patterson branch that's putting.
Is that San Diego, LA, or San Fran?
No, it's like Sacramento.
Oh, Redding.
I think it's a couple hours north of there. I should know this. I'm a Californian, but
you and T-Bone
Northern
are
California is a different
Redding?
state. So it's usually in Raleigh, but I love teaching there because it's an experience. Like we go to T-Bone's house and have dinner, and there's just a lot of interaction, a lot of intimacy. We're not off limits. We continue to help and support after the course is done, but highly, highly, highly recommend bringing team members, at least one assistant, one hygienist, and front desk, because it's really A to Z practical implementation. And there's so many times you learn the head knowledge, which is great, but I actually just had a phone call this morning at 6 this morning with someone that took all of these courses, and he goes, okay, now what do I do? How do I implement this? Never learned any part of that. And then you can go to a course and you're sold something. And I don't have to sell anything but information.
So it's tough because in America, a lot of the people teaching sleep apnea are the people selling a machine.
Right.
A lot of people.
I do recommend to get a home sleep test. However, it's not absolutely necessary. You don't need to have 3D. T-Bone's, to look up the course, it's 3D-dentist. 3D Dentist is the name of his teaching center. He does all this digital stuff, but Sleep Apnea 101 is kind of the one I teach. You don't have to own cone beam. I practiced for years without cone beam and treated my sleep patients adequately. It's just that we invested in it, so now I can use it for sleep, but I'm using it for implants, in endo, in everything else that we do. So it's not a requirement to be at the course.
By the way, if you're listening to this on iTunes, Erin is at her Twitter is at Erin Erin Elliott DDS. Erin ERIN.
2D or 2 T's and 2 D's.
Well, 2 L's, 2 T's, 2 D's because DDS. But I just retweeted her rap video to my 25,000 homies following me on Twitter. Thank you so much for following me at Howard Farran. And so basically, they would learn this either in Raleigh at T-Bone's office or now Redding.
That's just one time we're doing that.
So how often are you teaching this with T-Bone?
About 4 to 5 times a year. If there's a need, we'll add another day.
If you live in the almost on the Pacific Ocean, why did you partner with T-Bone, who's right on the Atlantic Ocean? You couldn't find anybody in Nebraska or Kansas or Missouri? How long is that flight? There couldn't be a direct flight.
No, Minneapolis is 2.5 hours, and then Raleigh's 2 hours from there.
Okay. What airline?
It's worth it, I tell you.
What airline?
Delta. I'm a Delta snob.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Right on.
I love it. But you know, I do like I'm traveling.
Can you send me the link to that course? So that would be, Ryan, what is it? DDS hyphen
3D-dentist.com.
3D dash
or hyphen. Yeah.
Hyphen 3D hyphen
dentist.com.
What do you recommend for the didactic on the sleep apnea? Is there something they should read before they go take your course?
No, I teach the nuts and bolts. Essentially, you can show up and not know one thing, and you'll leave knowing a lot. Enough to get started, anyways. Yeah, just try to break down all the barriers, teach you how to communicate with your patients, how to take them from a hygiene chair all the way through treatment.
So, how much is the course, and what is
I think it's $16.95 for the dentist, and then $6.95 for team members. It's 2 days. And so important to bring team. Can't say that enough. That's the big difference that we see between an office that is just tinkering in sleep apnea or not doing anything to just taking off. And that is having the team. And specifically what we call a sleep champion. I have one, T-Bone has one, and anyone who brings that one person who can really take ownership over it and what I find their why. You're too busy doing dentistry. It's so hard to implement something that's not dentistry, and it's hard to communicate with patients sometimes too. So that really is what gets them moving and not pushed to the side.
Now, do you have like a forum or a community where the members go to follow up?
Yeah, we have a Facebook group, but there's a ton of, I'm doing Facebook Lives on there, like, hey guys, I got this interesting sleep study. Let's review how to look at a sleep study. This is how you make an appliance over a denture if you run into that. This is how Medicare works. This is how you do medical billing. So we're constantly doing. I'm keeping up with content.
With the lab do you work with? What do you send all your appliances to one lab?
Well, Sirona of course has an appliance if you're fully integrated there. But we work with.
They have a lab that makes the appliance.
Yes. So essentially, if you own a Galileos that has the CCAT Air software.
CCAT Air.
Air. Mm-hmm. Air. AIR.
Okay. CCAT Air.
SICAT AIR. CCAT Air. And that's with your cone beam. Then with the CEREC, and I think it can be any cam, but we have OmniCam, you can take the teeth, integrate it into the cone beam, take their bite so that they're postured forward, and then the lab in Germany can you export it, they make it, they send it to you in about a week. And it's called an OptiSleep. OPTI.
So you're taking the Galileos, and then you take an impression?
Nope.
No impression.
Scan. No impression.
That's all scan. And then you digitally send the file. And then how much is the appliance? It gets back in a week.
I think
how much
it's
is
like
the appliance?
500, about 500 maybe.
And then what are you selling these appliances for? What is?
Well, it depends on it. It varies so different from state to state in insurance, and sometimes patients pay $0 out of pocket. My cash fee is $27.95, but that could be less. It could be more depending on where you live.
Yeah. So what % of your appliances are made in Germany by Dentsply?
So in order to make an OptiSleep, you need a certain amount of teeth, and I practice in a place called Idaho, so I can't always make the ideal appliance. So I don't make OptiSleeps on everybody. Plus, I also live in a state that requires that I make a Medicare-approved appliance, and that would be a Herbster tap. So I'm kind of limited. I like the OptiSleep.
And who makes those for you?
SML Lab in California.
Can you send me a link to that? SNL?
SML.
SML. What's
Space Maintainers Lab?
Oh, Space Maintainers Lab.
You've had him on here. There's a variety of labs. There's a variety of appliances. I kind of have 4 different appliances that I like to work with in my toolbox, and it just depends on. So there's essentially 4 qualities I look for in an appliance that dictates my choice. The first is insurance, unfortunately. Is it Medicare approved, and does the private insurance follow those rules? The second is what type of dentition the patient has. Are they partially edentulous? Are they edentulous? Are they short clinical crowns? Are they lingualized? Do they have a wear pattern? So I take that into account. The third is it needs to be adjustable. And then the fourth quality is, can we make it digitally?
Wow. And this is all going to be on your online CE course that you're going to make for Dental Town? Please, Erin.
When I find the time. So another appliance that I recommend, Howard, is ProSomnus. It's called the Micro 2 appliance. ProSomnus is the company. It's a great company. Reps all over the country. Based out of California. It's awesome. Yeah.
Nice. So, there are some, I mean, this is Dentistry Uncensored.
Real quick, though.
Yeah.
Of the 4 qualities, did you notice that I said cost wasn't one of them?
Can you say the 4 qualities again?
I said, what's the insurance? Because some insurance dictates what you can use. The second is the dentition. The third is its adjustability. The fourth is it digital? Okay, so of the 4 qualities, cost is not one of them. And if you think about as dentists, how do we measure our time? I mean, it's all chairside time. That's how I know what I'm worth for sitting here right now. And saying that, if you buy a cheap appliance with a cheap warranty and it breaks, what is the patient going to do?
Come right back to you.
And take up my time and tell everyone else about how horrible it was. If I have to spend extra money on the front, that's fine, because that will help me in the end save money and time, and they tell others about it. And they send their cousins and aunts, and people fly in just so that I can take care of them the way that they were. And that word spreads much more so than saving $100.
And look, I pulled up ProSomnus, ProSomnus. So on Twitter, they're at ProSomnus. And look at their last tweet.
Oh, look at you.
My gosh, it was, there was my podcast with, not me, it's my podcast with Kent Smith. So very cool. So the one thing that I thought was the most depressing part of sleep apnea was when I started learning medical billing. It's like, how messed up is this country? I mean, and that's
I can only imagine your reaction.
And it was just like, and that's why everybody was so upset with Obamacare, because, a great heart, let's let no pre-existing conditions, and, if your kids are still at home,
but you
cover
have to have it, and so it's
but God, could you just tackle the cost issue that 30% of the cost is administrating the goddamn insurance, and it's insane.
Hate medical insurance companies. My picture is probably in about half of them in Idaho with a dartboard. Like, they don't like me. They are so frustrating. They don't care about the provider, and they don't care about the patient. It's the most frustrating thing ever. So that's why I take it as a challenge. Like, oh yeah, you're going to deny this? I don't think so.
Well, if I spend my money on myself, that's the most efficient value decision.
Right.
If I decide I'm going to buy... say I buy a phone, a cell phone. That's going to be the smartest decision I make. But then if they said, "Oh, well, Howard, take your money and buy Erin a phone," well, now it's going to be less quality.
Yeah.
All that. But now that we sit there and say, but the government is, let's take other people's money and buy stuff for other people. So it's like nobody has any skin in the game. They're taking other people's money and buying shit for other people, and everyone wants to know why it's so insane. No one has skin in the game.
Yeah.
And but God, looking at that medical insurance, I mean, 17 cents of every dollar goes to healthcare.
In a way, like, I'm glad that sometimes that insurance makes it difficult so that not every Joe Blow that doesn't really understand sleep apnea is treating sleep apnea. However, they make it so difficult for dentists to enter, and we really can help. We can really help our patients. And we can really help the medical insurance not have to pay for all these other diseases that could be caused by not treating the root cause of the problems.
Yeah.
They're more than willing to pay for high blood pressure medication, but why not find out why they have high blood pressure? It's counterintuitive to me, but of course I'm just a dentist in Idaho. But if you look at, I could give them real numbers, and they care about numbers. That's all they care about.
Well, what I always loved about listening to you lecturing, and it was your passion. Are you speaking at Serona again this year? Or you spoke last year?
I spoke at the DS World in September.
Yeah.
And
was that your largest audience ever?
Yeah.
That's a huge audience.
Yeah.
How many people you lecture to?
I think 7. Some people tell me 8. I have no idea. 8,000.
No, it was just
7,000.
It was just 7 people.
I think so.
But
7,000.
so were you just high as a kite doing that?
It was probably the scariest moment of my life.
Really?
However, I only saw the front 2 rows, and they were all the German executives. But then I saw them kind of start smiling. I mean, like I told you, the first word out of my mouth was sexy. So I'm sure they were like, "Where is this going to go?"
Yeah,
yeah.
They're
it was
a lot more
well
proper
received
in Germany, aren't they?
Yeah, no, they were great.
But
I talked to them after.
you know, I know some speakers, you know, and when you do stand up, oh my God, some of those comedians in the back deal, their hands are shaking.
Yeah,
I can tell you when I do some of these comedy clubs in Arizona, they vomit. And you're like, dude, you're a comedian, you're that worked up. But I figured if there was any speaker out there that had 0 butterflies in her stomach, it was you. You look like you're having way too much fun. You do. You look like you're just.
I absolutely hate public speaking, but I'm getting used to it. I go to Toastmasters every week, so I can keep getting better. So I'm working on it.
I never would have guessed that. I would have bet the farm the opposite.
Oh.
Yeah, because you look like you're having so damn much fun.
But that's the thing. If it's something that I am passionate about, and it's easy. It's easy to have a conversation with you. That I can do. So I practiced enough times. I got up there. I was glad when it was over, and the message was received. That's always my goal. Did they hear it?
Nice.
Yeah.
So I want to. This is Dentistry Uncensored. I get lots of emails and talk to these kids. Your father was a dentist.
Yeah.
There's a lot of girls in school where they're kind of like, my dad wants me to come practice with him, but I'm always going to be his little girl, and she's thinking, God, you know, it's so emotional. What would you say to a 25-year-old little girl whose dad or mom is a dentist? And because you hear all these maxes like, never mix family and business. Well, don't loan family money. Just give it to them.
My dad moved when I was away at college, his practice. He sold it in Southern California, and he moved it to Vancouver, Washington, near Portland. And I spent a couple summers there, but I just did not. Vancouver was not going to be my home. And so I know at his soul, he was disappointed I didn't come take over his practice. But it was more because we wanted to live in Coeur d'Alene. But for anyone that's deciding that, I think it does depend on your relationship. I thought my dad would, you know, I did work at his practice a little bit. I'd fly over and work for him. I thought he'd be in there like, that's not how we do things, or no, we need to do it this way. He didn't even show up. And as soon as I said, hey, I'm Dr. Warren's daughter, they're like, okay, whatever you want to do. So he already built up the trust. So it made it easy for me to come in. So there is that aspect. But if you feel like you want to run it in a different way, then I would suggest not going into practice with your father. But I think if you can have an honest talk beforehand, set up the expectations and even boundaries, then I'd go for it. It's exciting for patients too, I think, to have continued care, even when my dad was going to retire or whatever.
So I hate to ask you these girl questions, but I have to ask you because I can't be an expert on girl questions. Another thing they're always thinking in middle school is she's going to graduate. She's 25. She wants 2 kids like you, and she's thinking, well, if I'm going to have 2 kids, would it be better to be the mom, the soccer mom, to just go work as an associate or a DSO 8 to 5 and not own your own business?
You know what's so interesting is that overall in our country right now, I think it's like 35% of dentists are female, and 50% are graduating. So that number will continue to increase. What's interesting is that almost half of the DSOs have female dentists, meaning that they are going straight to the DSOs into the corporate and not owning their own practice. They're associates. And even the 2 females in my town, there's 2 female owners in my town that sold to another male dentist. And so if I have any message for a woman is I know it's hard to balance it all, but if you have support from home, which I do and my husband, just own. Like the freedom that I have in ownership is amazing. I do have a partner that has helped free me up to be mom too. But I think
the partner, you mean a husband or
no, business partner.
Business partner.
So he does some of the work, I do a lot of the work, but I don't have to be there managing.
Are you guys a legal 50-50 partner? Mm-hmm. So you're married to two different men.
Yeah.
You're married to a man at work.
I got two good men in my life. Wow. I think, though, you have to have an honest talk with who you are and your personality. I am not a control freak. I am not a micromanager. So I can let some things go where I'm not trying to do it all. In fact, I have moms all the time. My friends are all stay-at-home moms. What time is Jameson's soccer practice? Where is it at? I'm like, I don't know. I just go pick them up when I'm told. Like, I don't bake cookies for the bake sale. Like, I know what I'm good at and what I'm passionate about, and I just revolve my life around that, and my kids are my life, and I just try to balance that. But I think if the other thing I think my message could be is don't feel guilty. If you are called to be a dentist, don't be a stay-at-home mom because that's what you're told that you're supposed to do. Don't feel guilty leaving your kids at home to go help treat patients and run your business. I know that's easy for me to say, but I don't think we'd be called into dentistry to just work part-time. And sometimes you need to do that while the kids are young or whatever, but I just encourage women to be able to figure out a way to balance it all you can tailor your hours. I can take off in the middle of the day and go to a school program if I need to because I have a partner there that's still running the ship. So I don't know if that's a real clear message.
Does your husband own his own business, or
no? He's a stay-at-home dad.
So he's Mr. Mom.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now
and it works.
And does he like that?
Because every time I say, the kids are older. Don't you think it's time to find a job? He literally breaks out in a sweat. It's pretty funny to watch. But he does work at my practice, not in any managerial. He's just kind of the honey-do guy. And he, as soon as I say, I think it's time to get a job, all of a sudden the dinners get much better. He's like, we're gonna have flank steak with homemade chimichurri. And I was like, but I don't run the show at home. I am not, I don't wear the pants, but he manages the home. I do a lot. I do my part. I spend time with my kids, and everything is done, and I don't have to worry about it. So that frees me up to be able to do all this kind of stuff and continue. The other thing I wish I could have told my younger self is to not feel guilty for working. But
let's go back to that guilt, because you brought it up a couple times. To me, everyone has that guilt problem where we've grown up Christian, Jewish, or Islamic. They were never Buddhist, Confucius, or Hindu. So those three great monotheistic religions indoctrinate a lot of this guilt. Do you agree with that or disagree with that?
I guess I never made that connection before.
I always see it.
I hear about Catholic guilt.
Oh, Jewish guilt's twice as bad. Jewish guilt's twice as bad as Catholic guilt. Catholics are usually just drinking. They probably don't even remember the sermon. But yeah. But anyway,
I would also tell myself to do more CE. Like at the time when you're just, I don't know how to, my husband wasn't as supportive of dentistry as he is now. And I wish I would have taken this implant pathway sooner. I wish I would have gone and learned efficiencies in full mouth rehabs. And I didn't travel and invest in the CE that I wish I would have. I see some of these younger dentists doing it and killing it, and I was like, man, I could have been where I'm at now.
Well, you're still a puppy. Sooner. How old are you?
I'm 40.
I'm 55, dude. And being Irish Catholic from Kansas, I'm old enough to be your dad. Did you know, Ryan? I don't know if I ever told you. Did you know when I graduated from high school in 1980 at Bishop Carroll High School, class of 200, 10% of the women were showing.
Oh, geez.
So how many were pregnant that weren't showing? But so I definitely know some moms that were 15. And Ryan's mom was in that class, and she was not pregnant, Ryan. So give me some credit.
Yeah.
I want to go back to the other thing about these, but where I call, see if your perception says, the girls that get out and say, what I'm hearing from the DSOs is that the girls are 50% of the class, but they're 35% of the, that's what you said, that was your number, 35%
for overall dentistry in the
overall
states.
Of the states. But the DSOs are almost 2/3 women. So
is it 2/3? I knew it was a pretty high number.
It's 2/3.
And I just feel like we should have the freedom to not have to do that.
But I got to make a point, though. If that was the ticket, I'd be all behind it. But what's the number one problem in all the DSOs? Associate turnover.
Turnover.
I mean, they just. I mean, so many of these places, you know, the job turnover.
The other part there, I mean, just working part time, or I know plenty of female dentists that don't work at all, and it's like, man, you took the spot from someone that really wants to work.
But that's a good thing for these dental schools.
But dentistry allows us the freedom to make these choices. So I don't want to make anyone feel guilty for making those choices. It's just, I love ownership.
That's like
I love
the fifth
dentistry.
Time you said, Gil, what were you raised religious?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, what
I'm
religion?
a good Christian girl.
What?
Just Christian.
Just Christian?
Yeah.
But was it every week or 2 nights a week or?
Yeah, youth group and church on Sunday. I guess.
You got that Christian guilt thing going, Erin.
I'm just saying, I would love to be able to push women dentists to do more.
Here's what I want the women dentists to do. I just want to have an honest conversation with you. If getting a job as an associate of someone is a great idea, please send me the list of all these women that have been a happy associate for 5-10 years.
And I wish
that is just a list I can't find.
Been an owner sooner too. I was an associate for 8 years, but I wish I would have bought in the freedom that ownership gives me, and the tax write-offs is awesome. And
it's the same thing. It's the same thing when they.
But there's ways to do it if it feels too stressful. There's ways to do it.
You just freaking dive in. You can't.
You just do it.
You can't. When you go to bungee jump, the first time I did that with the boys, it's like, okay, you know you're not going to die.
Yeah.
You know it's going to suck, and the quicker you fucking jump off that thing, the better it is.
Well, and here's the other.
But I got to tell you my deal. So I graduated May 11. I drove straight to Phoenix. I had my office open September 21st. I had no money. So I got a no money down. I rented 2,000 square foot. He said he wanted $15 a square foot for 3 years. I said, I'll pay you $20 a square foot for 5 years. And so you do the build out. He said, okay. Went over to Healthco. This is before Patterson and Shine. And got $80,000 of equipment. They said, we need $80,000. So I don't have a dime. So I said, give me a 5-year lease, last payment, lease to own. So the builder built my office, the equipment in there, and when that thing opened up, it was, I think it was on a Thursday, September 21, 1987, I had my 30-year anniversary. When that thing opened, I almost shit my pants. I had no idea what to do, but only 0.4% of dentists go bankrupt.
Yeah.
So you're not going to go bankrupt, but when's the best time to learn that stuff? Straight out of school. So being an associate for 5 or 6 years, dropping a frog or two, delaying that opening up your business, and then when you go get a job at DSO, this is what I want you to ask. First question you ask, well, how long have you been open? 5 years? Give me a name of every dentist that's worked here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And look at the time. Okay, this one 8 months, this one a year, this one 11 months, this one 13 months. And there's something about there's no good time to open your office, and there's no good time to have a kid.
Yeah, and
I had my 4 boys in 60 months.
Yeah.
So I had my office open, dropping a frog every 15 months, and by the time I finally realized that I needed to rip out my own vas deferens and stop that,
to be clear, you didn't drop any frogs.
No, but I made them, and that's the hard part.
And I realize we are different. We are different than men. We are the mothers, and no one can replace that. And so I just found a way to. When early on, I, didn't work as much. I wanted to work more actually, because I was the breadwinner. But we just made it work in our practice. But I'm a mom who happens to be a dentist, and dentistry is important to me. I do feel called. I'm a Latin nerd, so I feel it's my vocation. Voco means calling in Latin. And
is that where the dental company? Is that what they call? Why they call themselves Voco?
Oh, I don't know.
They're one of the biggest dental companies in Europe.
Yeah.
Voco. Voco is a Latin word meaning vocation.
So I feel like it's my purpose to be a dentist, but it's also my purpose to be a mom and a wife. And you have to, there's this whole work-life balance, which I think is funny. I think you can find harmony. And it doesn't mean you're going to do all of it perfect all the time, but I think we as dentists, we ask about all the what ifs. We ask about all the things that probably will never happen that we think are going to happen every time, and scare ourselves and talk ourselves out of things. And I'm just kind of like, just jump in the deep end. You'll figure it out. Just do it.
And the best time to do it is, I can tell you, when you're 25, you know how much more energy you have than when you're 55?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a grandpa.
Yeah.
You know when you should have a kid and start a practice? At 25, I mean, you're bouncing off the walls. You know, you're fearless, and capitalism is an extremely irrational decision. So is having a kid, because you don't realize that kid may come out.
If you write it down on paper and think of just logically and not emotionally, it doesn't make sense.
I have friends that were going to have 4 or 5 kids. But the first one was so medically challenged that almost took them under.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is it's all irrational. I mean, if you were a really smart person, you'd never have a kid and you'd never open a business. But how fun is that?
Yeah.
So drop a couple frogs, open your office, and you're not going to die. Your kids aren't going to die. And the other thing that's so weird to me is watching these younger millennials, dentists having children. Oh my God, they're just helicopter parents.
Gosh, yeah, that's the other thing.
Oh my God.
I'll pretend to be one once in a while, and my kids are like, they just know I'm joking.
It's a product of birth control.
They're very good.
Because see, when there was no birth control, like at the end of World War II, you started having kids at 16, and you had 5. So you were really young, you didn't know what's going on, and you had 5. You can't manage 5. So the kids are all running all these different ways and finding out, failing, falling down, whatever, and they all lived and they're all great.
Yeah.
But now with birth control, you have them 10 years later, and then you only have 2. So you're really smart and educated, so you're hovering over all their risks. That kid needs to get beat up. He needs to get lost.
I do think that in general, it feels like, because we're type A, dentists are usually type A, that you have to do everything perfectly. And that's what I was saying, is just forgive yourself and just be you and do the best you can. Your kids will still love you. My kids still love me, and even though I go to work. And I missed a track meet today because I'm here. They know they're still loved, and you can't do it all. You can't do it all.
My dad was my #1 idol role model. I know no one ever loved me as much as that guy. He went to 1 wrestling match, and I wrestled varsity for 4 years. Why? Because he had 9 Sonic drive-ins.
Yeah.
And I never once thought, well, my dad should be watching me.
Yeah.
It's like, they're not, nobody was like that.
Right.
And in my generation, like these parents feel guilty because they're not helping their kids do their homework. Could you imagine asking my old man to help me with my homework?
Yeah.
He would have probably said, what do you need help with? Show me the book. He would have taken the book, smacked me in the head with it, and then thrown it on the floor. I mean, he never did it. I didn't have the balls to ask him. And now people are all worried, like, well, I don't have time to help my kids with homework. Yeah, well,
if my kids need something for their school project, they know I don't go to stores. They bring me my laptop. Here, Mom, can you get it on Amazon? Like, they just work around who I am and love me anyway.
Are you using Alexa?
No. Oh, well, all my friends are stay-at-home moms. They just don't understand my world, and I don't understand theirs. But they're good friends of mine. I'm just built differently, and I think it's okay. So that's my message to women dentists is.
Well, I wanted to get you on the show again. I mean, I can't bring everyone back. It'd take 3 years to bring everyone back one time. All these people, when I come back, it's like, well, then this take 3 years to bring everybody back. But you are such a role model. You're such an inspiration. And when that class is half women, I really feel self-conscious if Dentaltown puts out a magazine where it has 8 articles and it's by 8 male dentists. I mean, I feel really sensitive to that. And I don't want my podcast to be a bunch of male dentists. And they need role models. That's why I hope you write us an article or an online C-course. I mean, really, you are a hell of a role model. You're the real deal, man. And I want you to put in order on the records. You're a spouse, you're a dentist, you're a mom. Put those in priority. Which one is the most important, second and third? Come on. I want to see how she does this, right? I'm going to see how good she is.
You know what? I will say spouse.
No, because the kids aren't going to watch the podcast.
And then kids, and then dentist. No, this is why. This is one thing that with my kids, that they are not the center of the family. They are a part of it. And if you keep that relationship first, the kids will see that role modeled. And, if you make the kids the center of the world, they will abuse that.
Yeah. Good advice. And so are you glad with 2? If you had to do it again, would you had 1 or 3 or 4 or?
Really putting me on the spot. And you know what? I love to travel so much, and I think God gives you what you can handle, and giving me boys was perfect. I'm a big tomboy, and so.
Are you really?
Like, I'm the one that taught him how to throw a spiral football, and not my husband. So
yeah,
I think that boys were perfect for me, and everyone kept asking me if I was going to go for the girl, but I'm really happy with.
You know why you should really always stop at 2?
Because then you'll get twins or something? Or?
No, Ryan's number 3. Look at Ryan.
Oh, I know.
I mean,
so
he
sweet.
should be the poster child of why you should stop at 2.
Oh,
he was
come
3.
on.
And then you got to meet his little brother, Zach. He's the 4th. Zach's the poster child for why you stop at 3. Ryan's the poster child for why you stop at 2. And I'm the poster child for why you should never get married or become a dentist. But hey, seriously, man, you had a long day, and it's Friday night. You should be out at a Mexican restaurant having a margarita. And what did you do? Bust ass, drove over here, came by the house on a Friday night. You're awesome. You're a hustler. You're the real deal. You got to hear this girl lecture. I cannot believe the most shocking thing on this interview is that she's nervous in public speaking, because you're just magnetic up there. You look like you're having the most fun in the whole room. Erin, Elizabeth, Elliott, the endodontist to be. Thank you so much for coming over on the show.
Thank you.